Welcome back to the Mystic Media channel. Now, this next free reading is for a worried mother. I'm going to call her Mrs. J. Now, Mrs. J has a son, and he's a Sagittarius born December 20th, 2002. And she reached out to me. Just going to read her email real quick. She says, my son started to make sudden changes that has progressed to straight hell. He has let himself go, stopped all activities, skipping school, leaving the house in the middle of the night, very disrespectful. He desires the street life. He knows nothing about getting into it with the law. I told when I had him, he would be the one to break my heart, and I am going through the ringer. I want to know what's going on with him in his chart. I want to know if he will end up on the path of misery. His spirit, I do not know. The energy has become dark. I need to know if there is something I can do or allow his journey to happen. I'm at a standstill with confusion. So again, you provided his date of birth. So the fact that his birth number is 20, 20 is the number of awakening. So that should give you hope, because that means that at some point in his life, even though he's wayward and reckless now, he could turn his life around after he experiences an awakening. So let's get into his chart. And before I get into his chart, his life path number is a 9, and that can make him very headstrong. It can produce a life of conflict, a life of aggression, where he has problems with anger management, where he could even commit acts of violence, and where, he's hard-headed, and that makes for a soft behind. And basically, he's going to have to learn the hard way. However, 9 can produce a lot of self-determination and new beginnings, so that should give you a little bit of hope as well. So getting into his chart, first thing I notice, of course, I'm always focusing on the nose, because that explains the underlying reason for why a person does what they do, their problems, all that type of stuff. So his south node is at the 7th degree of Sagittarius. It's in the 9th house. And that right there can make him wayward, where he acts like he's above the law. So when you mention that he knows nothing about dealing with the law, also possibility of imprisonment because of that 7th degree, and because that south node's in the 9th house. So that's freedom, and Sagittarius is a sign of freedom as well. So, going back to that south node in Sagittarius, the opposite end is the north node in Gemini. It's in the 3rd house. He has Gemini spanning his whole 3rd house. So that's him wanting to be about that street life, that thug life, all that. So he is trying to live through his Gemini North Node, but he's going about it the wrong way. Like, instead of trying to be a writer or a rapper, maybe he is trying to be a rapper too, or whatever like that, or, trying to be a teacher or whatever like that, or trying to acquire a lot of knowledge, he's channeling that Gemini energy into that street life. But from what I see in his chart, he's not built for that type of life, as you already know, as you can already see. Also, that Gemini influence, 3rd house, North Node in Gemini, 7th degree, that can deal with him breaking into cars. So I think you mentioned that you don't think that he was doing that, and you think that they got the wrong person or whatever. Well, I'm here to tell you that there's a good chance that he was breaking into those cars, because he got Gemini on the 3rd. Mercury is at the 17th degree of Capricorn in the 10th house. That's like the authorities finding out about it, because, like they said, they got him on camera. Now, his Saturn is in Gemini in the 3rd house as well, and it's conjoined to Isis, and that can deal with him breaking into cars. Him having some type of contraption. He might even have vandalized cars before or whatever like that. So I wouldn't put much past him. I wouldn't underestimate him, I'll say that, in terms of what he's capable of. So, definitely you want to really keep a close eye on him. But he's a Sagittarius, and Sagittarius can run wild when they're young. Now, he's the type of Sagittarius, and a lot of Sagittarius are like this, where he's eventually going to get caught up, and I'm seeing very soon too. So I'm gonna get into that in a minute. And you mentioned that you're a dark side of Aquarius, so I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to give it to you raw with no Vaseline because I know you can take it. But he's basically horrible at crime life. So going the route that he's going, he's eventually going to hit a brick wall, and that brick wall is going to be jail time, prison even. So his South Node is in quincunx to his moon in Cancer, and that deals with the conflict that he has with you. You wrote me back recently saying that I think the two of you got into a verbal disagreement. Yeah, you said we got into a verbal fight, a major one. Things were said that shouldn't have. He left, showed up yesterday with my name tattooed on his arm. I am lost for words. So that's that conflict that he's dealing with involving you. That South Node, Sagittarius, quincunx, moon, and Cancer. So yeah, he loves you, but he is bent upon having his freedom. He don't want to be under your rule or anybody else's rule. So he also got Moon, quincunx, Neptune, and that could deal with him running away or just staying out all night, all that type of stuff. But that also has a bleaker side. Moon, quincunx, Neptune combined with the South Node, quincunx, the Moon, combined with Moon conjoined to Demeter. There's a good chance that he's going upstate. Like, he's going to spend some significant time in prison. And again, I'm seeing where this could happen in the near future at the rate that he's going. And I'm going to talk about these transits that I see coming up for him. So you could definitely relay this message that if he keeps going down this path, he's looking at some serious jail time. So his sun is at the 28th degree of Sagittarius, and that 28th degree is, I call that the free ride degree. So he feels like he should get a free ride in life. He feels like he should just have a free for all. But his sun is in square to his Pisces ascendant. And that right there is like his freedom is in jeopardy. And again, that reinforces the possible prison time. And that could be extended period of prison time because of that square. It's exact. Both are at the 28th degree. So his ascendant's at the 28th degree of Pisces. His sun is at the 28th degree of Sagittarius. And that 28 can deal with cycle. It can also deal with recidivism. If we're talking about the 28th degree of Pisces, that's like a recidivist. A person that is in and out of prison or in and out of jail. Always getting locked up every time they turn around. Now, he's still young, so he hasn't really got a full taste of the consequences of living a life of crime or living a wayward life. But trust and believe, because he's a Sagittarius, and Sagittarius deals with the law, he's going to have to face the law at some point, especially because his sun is ruling the 6th house. So he has Leo in the 6th house because that deals with he's going to face some type of correction some way, somehow. And because he got that Pisces ascendant, he also got Moon, quincunx, Neptune. That could deal with him being away from home because he's in prison. He also has, wait a minute, what else? Yeah, so that prison theme is very strong in his chart, especially because his nodes are at the 7th degree. That 7 is corresponding to Neptune, and Neptune rules prison. So yeah, if he keeps it up, that is the inevitable outcome. But, like I said, his sun is ruling the 6th house, and that 6th house is about getting your act together. It's about living according to, the dictates of society. It's about being on that straight and narrow. But he's going to have to be forced to do that. So being forced could be by the law. Now, again, he got Mercury ruling the 3rd house, also ruling the 4th house. 4th house deals with home. And Mercury's in Capricorn in the 10th house. That's like state custody. That's like him being in the custody of the state. Also, he has Venus conjoined to Mars in the 8th house in Scorpio. So that right there produces criminal tendencies. That conjunction is squared by Neptune, so that can produce thieving tendencies. Also where he has abusive tendencies. So if he has a girlfriend, you mentioned that he has a girlfriend and that he's only into white girls. And that deals with what I see in his chart as well. That South Node is Sagittarius, quincunx moon in Cancer. But going back to that Mars conjoining Venus in Scorpio, that could deal with where, he could be even abusive towards women, towards his girlfriend. He might even get accused of sexual assault at some point with that hookup. Also, you could look at that as possible vandalism, and where he feels like what other people have is his, or he's justified to take what other people have with that Mars conjoining Venus, especially because Venus is ruling his 2nd house. So he has it pretty bad. Now he got Mars conjoining Venus, square Neptune. That's reinforcing the thievery, but that's showing that he's going to get caught eventually. And he's going to have to do some time. So again, he has it really bad, but he's one of those people that needs jail time, that needs prison in order to be corrected. So that's how he's going to experience that awakening, through the correction system. So correctional facility, sun ruling that 6th house. 6th house deals with correction. And then that 12th house, he got Aquarius on the 12th house cusp, and that's his liberty. His liberty being in jeopardy. There was something else I wanted to tell you. Oh, that's another thing. He got Virgo starting. Most of Virgo is in the 6th house as well. So that's reinforcing the whole correction. And then again, going back to Mercury, ruler of Virgo, it's in Capricorn in the 10th house. That's like being corrected by the state, where you're forced to go on the straight and narrow. So going to what I see coming up in his chart, 2021 may be the year of reckoning for him. It may be when he really has to face the law. Might be when he even has to do some jail time. So there's some dates that I have for you. So the first date is March 7th, 2021. Next date is August 15th, 2021. December 3rd, 2021. Now, on each of those dates, transiting Saturn is going to land right on his Neptune. And that could deal with him having to face the law and him going to jail. Now, the first time around, he might go to jail, but he might get bailed out because on that day, his transiting Venus is making a trine to his natal Venus. So that could deal with him being bailed out, but, more than likely he'll be facing a trial. And then, he'll have to report to court and all that stuff. So by the time that second one comes into effect, August, or maybe even by December, he could be looking at perhaps prison time if he continues to break the law. So on the March 7th, in particular, though, he has some challenging transits in addition to the Saturn conjoined to Neptune transit. So he also has Saturn in quincunx to his moon, and that could deal with him being removed from his home by the authorities. He has Pluto in Capricorn in quincunx to Saturn in Gemini, and that had already transpired by March 7th, but it's still very close, and that could deal with some type of him breaking the law, criminal charges involving a car or cars. Uranus is in Taurus, quincunx, the Sagittarius South Node, both are at the 7th degree, so that could deal with him being taken into custody. The sun is squaring Pluto on that day. So yeah, keep those dates in mind. Let your son know that if he doesn't straighten up, put it to him this way. If he really values his freedom, he will stop running wild and act like he has some sense. If he doesn't value his freedom, then he can look forward to being locked down for a minute to cool his heels. But like I said, he's one of those type of people that jail time, even prison, is what he needs in order for him to go on that straight and narrow. And once he's in jail, once he's locked up, he might go on the straight and narrow, but again, he might um backtrack. He might, fall off the wagon and commit another crime or whatever like that, because he got that Mars conjoining Venus and Scorpio in the 8th house, which makes him very compulsive. So you might be looking at an uphill battle with him. It might be a lifelong battle with him, but this is basically his path. This is part of his karma. So, like you said, you called it. You said, let me just repeat what you said. You said, wait a minute, where's it at? I'm sorry, I'm getting all these emails. You said you told him that when you had him, he would be the one to break your heart. And he does have moon opposition Chiron in his chart, and that could deal with him breaking his mother's heart. But that can also deal with him being in state custody as well. So he has so many indicators of being locked down. But again, I firmly believe that this is what he needs in order to learn. And like I said, with that life path number 9, he has some hard lessons to learn. And if he wants to be about that street life, that thug life, well, being locked down, he's really going to be around some thugs. So he's really going to get a lesson in thugdom. So, yeah. And also that life path number 9, that can deal with him having to get into a lot of fights as well. So if he's in prison, also him being a Sagittarius, if he don't have some protection, oh yeah, there's a good chance he might become a Pharaoh convict. Basically, I'm being facetious, but basically that's a dude that, gets some religion while he's in prison, so he might become a Muslim. I say that because his sun is conjoined to the fixed star Acumen, and Acumen can deal with religious extremism. So that points to, I think you said you had your children being Jehovah's Witness, but then you left that religion or something like that, and you said that now he's an atheist or something. Yeah, so that's religious extremism, but then he might go in the total other direction, become a Muslim while he's locked down, and maybe he'll be on the straight and narrow that way, and that could be part of that awakening. So let me know what you think. You can send me an email if you have any questions or whatever, but I hope that this helped you to gain some insight. Just get ready for some serious spiritual testing, because that's the essence of that Sagittarius South Node, especially at the 7th degree. So yeah, so get ready for that. And if anybody would like a chance for a free reading for next month or the month after, send me an email, write free reading on the subject line, provide your full birth information, date, location, and time. If you don't have the time, that's fine. And provide a detailed question. And you just may be selected. If you would like an in-depth reading now, you could go to my website at Ravina.com. Peace and many blessings, and I'll be back with some more free readings and also some other readings.